Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're just so happy to be with you. I'm delighted to be working with my friend and colleague, Julie, who is this expert in mindfulness and who many of you know.
Hi there, that's a complete joke because you can't really be an expert in mindfulness, but the marketing people do say that. So I just have to step in and own it. I'm thrilled to see all of you, and I'm seeing some faces here that I haven't seen in 40 years, which is really a gas. That's really cool. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope that this hour and a half that you spend with us warms your heart, because what we're all about for this next hour and a half is heartfulness and balance.
Mm. Yeah, and we're creating a safe learning community in this 90 minutes. And part of that safety means that when we offer up something, if it doesn't work for you, like if I do something that's standing, or if we invite you to close your eyes and you want to keep your eyes open, or you need to go get a drink of water, that you take care of yourself first. We're going to invite you into some breakout rooms, and there'll be confidentiality in that. We're asking for confidentiality so you can share together and learn together about what you're experiencing from the practices. And those, we're going to really encourage you to go into those rooms, but it's also completely optional. If you just feel like being with yourself during that time, you don't have to get off the call. You'll be with me and Julie, and you can still participate in all of it without going into the breakout rooms.
Okay, Monica, take it away, baby.
We wanted to, one more thing is that most of you have your videos on, I think, and we wanted to invite you to keep them on. And for those of you who have them off, we want to invite you to turn them on if you can. And it's not mandatory. It's not, that also isn't necessary.
Okay, I have a spiel on that though.
Yes, go
The
for it.
the feeling that we get from seeing each other's faces is not to be underestimated. It gives us a feeling of warmth and community. It gives us a letdown of feel-good hormones, and so we would like you to be able to participate in that. So unless you have no camera, or you're really super duper uncomfortable, we would love to be able to have you be seen and see us.
Thanks, Julie. So we're going to be going into a few minutes practice of grounding. And I would say that grounding is the most important, single most important practice in times that are uncertain and unknown. And the good news is that there are so many different ways to ground, right? Just standing on the earth with your feet is grounding. Having healthy food is grounding. So there's a lot of activities that are grounding. The challenge right now is that we can't do all of the grounding activities because we're at home. So these kinds of meditative practices become even more important, right? So if you would take a moment to uncross your legs if they're crossed, and close your eyes if you're comfortable. And if not, you can keep them open, but keep them maybe focused someplace stationary so you can keep your focus. And just feel into your body right now. Notice how you're breathing. Feel your feet on the ground. Maybe wiggle your toes a bit. Now I'd like you to imagine that on the bottoms of your feet are beautiful, deep, rich roots going into the earth. Like a tree has roots, and the roots of a tree go deep and wide. Let those roots go deep, deep, deep through our nutrient-dense soil, through the rock and crystalline, all the way to the center core of the earth, where gravity is naturally bringing us all the time. And let the nurturing, slow energy of the earth come to meet those roots and come up through your feet and through your ankles and nurture and nourish all of your legs and your knees, your thighs, bringing that energy of earth, the sustaining earth. Let it move through you slow and sweet like honey, and up into the center core of your hips. And let yourself breathe, breathing in that beautiful calming earth energy with each inhale. And we are like the roots of the tree, spreading out towards one another. Trees protect each other by being in community together. When they're together, they protect from storm, from wind. They stand tall. A single tree alone is vulnerable and can blow down, but together, the root structure reaches out and feeds one another, sending energy to other trees that need it. And that is the opportunity and possibility of this time. So continuing our root and tree metaphor, our core is like the center of the roots, the center of the tree, the trunk, holding firm and steady and strong. And allow your upper body, your upper torso, your head and your arms to be like the branches of a tree, flexible, able to bend in the wind. And you might even stretch your arms up with me as I'm doing right now. Kind of imagine yourself being able to be flexible and move with the breeze. You don't break, you bend as a powerful tree. And the tree tops bring the sunlight down in to the entire tree. So now imagining the warmth of the sun coming down in from the top of your head through your whole face and your torso and body to the center of your body where it meets that earth energy, and the earth and the sky dance together. And taking a moment to prepare to come back into the group with all of us, knowing that you can at any moment shorten this practice during your day, make it 30 seconds, ground yourself, reground yourself when you get ungrounded. This is your body, your tree of life, available for you at any time. So with that, open your eyes. Welcome back. Wanted to take a moment before we go on just to take a notice, a pause. What's different now in your body than when you came on just a few minutes ago? If you want to put that in the chat, usually it's at the bottom of your screen, you hit chat, and you can right now just share with us, what do you notice that's different? What's changed in your body? We'll take a moment to do that.
Oh, Monica, that was gorgeous.
What happened for you, Julie?
I felt like I could take a nap. I felt so calm. I felt so loving. I felt so connected.
We're getting a
They're
lot of
saying they're relaxed, calm.
sitting up straighter
That's cool.
and less tension.
Mm-hmm. Grounded and present. Awesome.
Awesome.
While we're noticing what people are writing, just as an aside, Roshi Joan Halifax, who many of you know, who's a very beloved teacher, has this image when she's teaching meditation where she says, strong back, soft front. And it's all about the equanimity. Like the back is the tree and the strength that holds us, and the soft front is open-heartedness and open-heartfulness. Oh, a sunny perspective. That's great. Okay, well, I think we should move on. What do you think, Monica?
Yep, go for it, Julie. I think we're going to turn off the chat in a moment too, so that we can just be
Thank you
focused
for
on the practice.
thank you for remembering. Okay, so now we're going to do something called soothing touch, and you're going to keep your eyes open because it's going to be like a follow the leader, Simon says kind of thing, but it's experiential. It's from the Mindful Self-Compassion curriculum. And the background of that is that when primate infants and primate parents, when a primate infant needs something and cries, and the primate parent picks it up and says, oh, gentle vocalizations and soothing touch, there's a release of oxytocin and endorphins in the infant and in the parent. What science has figured out is that we can do that for ourselves. We don't need another human being to give us soothing touch to have that gorgeous cascade of hormones. We can do that for ourselves. So the very quickest way when you're feeling activated and you want to ground yourself is soothing touch. And then you can do one of the other grounding practices. So, so follow me. Place one hand on your heart and really feel the warmth going into your chest from your hand. Now place both hands on your heart. Place one hand on your belly. Never mind what internal chatter you have. Let that go. The hand on your belly is with the intention of soothing you. Place both hands on your belly. Place one hand cradling your cheek. Now the other hand. Like, oh, little Shayna Punham cradling your face. Now, your hands on both, hello, crossed arms on your upper arms. So like you're hugging yourself. And really feel a little squeeze there. Feel what that feels like. Taking a breath there. Really being held by your own self. Placing your hands on your thighs. Gentle rub. And then hand in hand in your lap. I'm just doing it up high so you guys can see. Be down in your lap. When I teach where people are still going into the office and they are still going to meetings and still meeting with their boss, I teach this one so that if you're in a professional work situation and you feel activated in any way, nervous, mad, you can give yourself a soothing touch without people knowing what you're doing, and it'll still work. When I first started learning this practice, my sisters were afraid to tell me something because they're like, you're going to put your hands on your heart. Because I'm always going around putting my hands on my heart because that is my soothing touch. But you wouldn't want to be doing that in the workplace. People might think you're having a heart attack or something. if we ever get back to the workplace, which someday I know we will. So that's soothing touch, guys.
So, do you want to take it away and use that soothing touch in a guided practice, Julie?
I'd like to see a show of hands, if I could. How many people have ever done a meditation before, a guided meditation? Let's scroll through. It looks like a lot on this page.
Pretty much everyone
Okay.
is on the second page is raising their hand.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to lead you guys. I'll keep it. I'll note the time, and I won't make it longer than 10 minutes. You're safe. Just follow my voice. And getting back to safety, like everything we said at the beginning, if your eyes are closed and you get you're triggered by something, you get a rush of emotion that doesn't feel good, just open your eyes, stop the practice, stand up, get a drink of water, whatever it is, because this is really all about you. But I'm not going to take us into any known dangerous territory. Okay? All right. So let's start by closing our eyes if it's comfortable. If not, a gentle downward gaze, because you want to minimize distractions. And we're going to take 3 gorgeous breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth together. On this last one, sip in a little more air at the top, and then let it out with a big sigh. Wow, okay. Let your breath find its natural rhythm now. You might notice it more at the tip of your nose, where when you breathe in, it's a little cooler than when you breathe out, or it might be the rise and fall of your chest or the rise and fall of your belly, but one of those places for a couple breath cycles. See and feel your body breathing in and your body breathing out. When your mind wanders, just gently bringing it back to the sensations of breathing. Feeling where your body's making contact with the chair. Getting back into that sense of groundedness. Now I'd like you to think of a word, something that you'd really like to give yourself right now for your in-breath, so that you have an anchor of awareness on your in-breath with a word. It helps quiet the chatter, having a word along with your breath. And it could be anything that you want to take into your core right now. Love, hope, courage, strength, healing, any delicious gift right into your soul. And just let your out-breath go for right now. Breathing in for yourself. Something that you really want to hear right now. And now taking a moment to use a word for your out breath, and you could select an individual, somebody that you know is suffering that you'd like to give a gift of strength or healing or hope or ease, or it could be categories of people. It could be nurses and doctors on the front line, essential workers, that you just have so much love and you want to send them hope or healing or peace or ease. It could be all humans in general, but the practice becomes taking in a word for yourself and gifting a word for others. One for me, one for you. If you've forgotten what you're doing, that's okay. You're breathing in a gorgeous gift for yourself, and you're breathing out a gift for others. One for me and one for you. Letting it flow with your breath like the waves on an ocean. Now I'd like you to let go of the words, but stay in the meditation. Notice how your body feels. Notice any thoughts, emotions. Seeing if you cannot attach to them and just let them drift on by. Imagining your mind is a enormous sky, and whatever thoughts or feelings or emotions coming up, just clouds drifting on past. And allowing your experience to just be what it is. And then taking in the words of this poem, Allow by Dana Falls. There is no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt, containing a tornado. Dam a stream, and it will create a new channel. Resist, and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow, and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in, the wild and the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, and success. When loss rips off the doors of the heart, or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice becomes simply bearing the truth. In the choice to let go of your known way of being, the whole world is revealed to your new eyes. Now you might want to wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingers. In a moment, you're going to hear the sounds of the chime, and then you can gently come back into the room. Oh, welcome back, everybody. So nice to see you.
Wow, Julie, thank you so much. I mean, Julie really packed in there a number of different practices beautifully all in one meditation. And what you can do is when you don't have the time, but you need to regulate yourself, you need to calm yourself during the day, you can take just a portion of what she did in the meditation, the one for you and one for me. You could take a piece from grounding from our first practice. You could just do a little soothing touch. You could combine soothing touch with
Oh,
part of the meditation that Julie did.
so I'm just laughing because Monica's so right. You just did a breath meditation, you did a loving kindness meditation, you did an open awareness meditation. So it's just a really cool morphing. So when you're wanting to find these meditations on Insight Timer, you could look for any one of those and you'll get 10 or 15 or 20 minutes of each one of those. And I just did a Borgeshmord for us.
So we want to take a pause from doing the practices to cultivate our community a little bit and give you some time in groups of 4 to share where your name, where you're from, how the practices are impacting you right now. What are you noticing? What are you feeling? What's coming up for you? And then also, how could you see using these practices in your life?
I have
So
another I have another suggestion. If it's maybe that's too many suggestions, but what do you hope to take away from today?
And of course, if you end up discussing something else, that's fine too, because this is for you and it's your group. So we are giving you suggestions and we'll put those suggestions in the chat. You guys are welcome to work as a conversation between the 4 of you, and you'll have about 8 minutes in the
2 minutes
group.
a person, right?
Or you could do 2 minutes each, and Eileen will actually put a little chat reminder, not in the chat, she'll actually put it, you'll see it on the top of your screen, 2 minutes, to let you know how you're doing. So you can choose what feels most comfortable for you in the group. We're almost all here.
Okay, so
Perfect.
now we're back. Monica, how do you want to, do you want to take a minute to have people unpack what that was like getting to communicate in groups of 4?
I
Do
think
we have time?
if we want to stay with our within our time frame, you guys, we want to leave some open, spacious time at the end so that we can unmute every people and you can have questions or comments. So to kind of protect that time, I think we want to just keep going.
Okay, you're up, sister.
All right. So good. I love when you say that because I'm an only child, so I appreciate that. So we wanted to have a part of today for what happens when you're not necessarily feeling calm or you have some troubling or difficult emotion. How do you deal with that? Anybody have had any troubling or difficult emotion in the last couple of months?
So you think like watching the news might be a trigger for that? Anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Never.
So, um, but regardless of whether you're in a good place or a bad place, I want to kind of do a 25,000 feet overview here for a moment and just say one of the most powerful things that you can do is to have a self-care check-in. In other words, throughout your day, if you took a couple of minutes to just breathe and ask yourself, how do I feel and what do I need right now? What would happen to the quality of your presence, of your ability to focus, of your attention, of your well-being overall, if we just took a couple of minutes several times throughout the day to check in and say those two potent questions? How am I right now? And what do I need right now? Sometimes you'll find that you just have really simple answers like, I'm a little thirsty and I need a drink. Or, gosh, I'm really tired. You know, maybe I want to go outside and take some fresh air or walk up and down the steps or around the block. And so those can be super simple to take care of yourself. Now, sometimes you might find that you're in a really good mood or something great just happened. You just shared a laugh with somebody, for example, or someone sent you a really funny comment about, you know, staying at home and what that's like, and you laugh. Well, one of the things that you can do, and this comes from the work that Julie and I have done with Rick Hansen, it's actually how Julie and I, it's not how we met, it's how we really deepened our friendship. We did a 6-day training with Rick Hansen around neuroplasticity, how you change your brain to change your life. And so the whole philosophy of this training is built on that philosophy that if you do short practices repeated throughout the day, you rewire your brain, you lay new neural networks for more peace, happiness, well-being, and for whatever you actually want to cultivate. So if you find yourself in a good mood, that's the moment to really just sort of expand that, enrich that, enjoy that, feel the goodness. It's called taking in the good. So you just take a breath and say, oh, what I do is, oh, I'm so happy I laughed today, and really enjoy that. Or I'll say, Julie, thank you for making me laugh. Now, let's say you find yourself in a crummy space, in a not good place. So then what you can do is a 3-step process that comes from mindful self-compassion, which is this really awesome 8-week training that both Julie and I have done and can recommend. And it's called a self-compassion break. And I want to say, in working now with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the last 25 plus years, one of the most potent ways to change behavior is to provide yourself with some compassion when things go wrong, with a sense of sort of okayness when you have a breakdown. And how that 3-step process looks in a self-compassion break is you just take a moment to acknowledge that you're in a difficult space, that you're having a moment of stress or upset. And you can say, ouch, or this is really hard. And you might even add, a self-touch. Oh, this is really tough. So naming the feeling, naming what's going on, that's a very powerful step in being able to give yourself some distance, right? I call that the sacred pause, because you have a little bit of space between the intensity of the situation and your response to it. And then the next step is to acknowledge that you're not really alone, that we are in this together. So it's called common humanity, that what you're going through, other people are going through. And all you need to do is remind yourself of that. Like sometimes we struggle, or sometimes things are hard, and I'm not the only person right now feeling this challenge. And for those of you who are, sheltering in place alone, this is a really important piece, because we don't have the capacity to go out so much and be with other people. We have to bring it into our mind. And then the third piece is a kind of affirmation, anything that works, that helps to bring a sense of comfort. So self-compassion is actually an active process. It involves not just caring for yourself, but actually doing something to alleviate the suffering or the struggle or the difficult situation. So now that I've said that, I want you to take a moment and actually bring to mind a difficult situation that you've had in the last few days. Nothing that's like a level 10, in other words, not the most upsetting thing. We want to try doing this practice with something that's maybe like a 3 or a 4, something that has a little bit of charge for with you, and then you work up to the 8s and 9s and 10s. So does everyone raise your hand if you have a moment in mind that's a difficult situation? Most of you are raising your hand. If you don't, there might be something that you anticipate being difficult in the future, and you can use that as well. So just take a moment to name the feeling that you're feeling. Maybe put a hand somewhere. This is a difficult moment. And now imagine, especially if you're visual, it's helpful to actually imagine other people that have been struggling with this issue from time to time so that you know that you're not alone. And continue to take some deep, compassionate breaths as you're doing this. So you're saying something kind to yourself. It might be something like, may I accept myself as I am. Possibly it's involving somebody else that you're upset with, and you could say, may I accept what happened? May I forgive myself? May I forgive the other person? If you're not ready for forgiveness, that's okay. You're looking for some kind of phrase that when you say it, there's like a release in your body. There's like a yes. And then you found your phrase. Now, sometimes it's hard to think of something compassionate to say for yourself. So in this case, if it's not coming to you, what you might do is imagine that a friend has had this issue, someone that you care about. What's a compassionate word, a phrase or sentence that you might say to them? Not to take away their pain or diminish or minimize it, but just to let them know that you care about them and you're with them. And then try saying that to yourself. Okay, so now we're coming back out of that. So again, those were several practices clumped together, just a kind of general, how am I doing right now? And I have people who set their timer to try to help them remember, like at a certain point during the day, or they ask that question and they pair it with something that they normally do every day, a behavior, like they're brushing their teeth. And while they're brushing their teeth, you ask, how am I doing? What do I need right now? This is such a simple but powerful befriending yourself behavior. And then the second one we did was from Mindful Self-Compassion, and that's a self-compassion break. Julie, I think we have people going back into groups now. Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't know if we need to, since we just did that. Let's stay together.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let's stay together. That was an idea that we don't need to stick to.
I think since we just did that, what I'd like to offer is if people want to comment, if they have a comment about this practice or a question, let's stay in one group.
Sure.
And you can unmute yourself There's a box in the upper right-hand corner that's
Or in the bottom
blue.
of where your name is, where you see the microphone with a line through it. If you click on that, you'll unmute.
Thank
And
you.
then you can speak to us and ask a question or make a comment. And we can keep that to like maybe 5 minutes or so, because I
Sure.
want to do, we need to make sure we do the mindful healthy pleasures and the gratitude practice. And
That's right.
you've got another energy practice coming up.
Oh, that's right. We're packed full.
We're packed full. Anybody have any questions?
So this is Donna. What's happening with me is that I'm trying to be mindful of what other people are going through, but sometimes you have to use your New York assertiveness in my part to get something for yourself. So I'm constantly apologizing like I had a situation today. I unfortunately have sleep apnea, and they never put the work order in this morning for me to check on my machine. Okay, so I had to put a lot of extra effort and actually ask for a manager, and the woman I was compassionate. I said, I don't want to be bothering you. You're a respiratory therapist, whatever. And it was okay. It was an okay thing to do. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to be okay with that, but sometimes you have to stand up for yourself and be self-compassionate about others too.
So you're making a good point, and it's all about balance, right? And that's
Yes.
really what the whole practice that we teach is about balance, having compassion for yourself and having compassion for others. And you know, always keeping that in mind, getting what you need that if you have sleep apnea. Otherwise, I mean, it's a medical issue.
Yes,
So you needed to
yes.
get what you need, and you did.
Yes, I did.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Somehow, some way, I had to ask
Right.
with the manager eventually. They never put
Right.
the work order in this morning.
No, I'm sorry that you had the frustration.
Yeah.
I really
No,
am.
but it's over with. The woman
Thanks for,
said, you know, whatever.
yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Anybody else?
The chat is also open right now. Eileen sent us a message that she's opened the chat in case that's a more comfortable vehicle communication. So,
well, Christine Rhodes left a message or a question in the chat, but I'm not sure if it was Christine. Was that question already answered? Can you clarify for us?
Can you share an example
of the practice that you just shared so that we can model it?
Yeah, sure. The self-compassion break is from MSc. I'm an MSc teacher, and I use it for whenever I feel a difficult emotion. You name it to tame it, and you give yourself soothing touch, and you say, what do I need to hear right now? What do I need to do right now? So if I, let's say, was reading on Facebook an unbelievable story of a nurse, which is what's been happening, and my heart breaks because it's so emotional, I put my hand on my heart and I say, oh my God, that is so sad. I'm feeling grief. So I've named it, which calms down my amygdala right there and makes more space around it. I'm feeling grief. What do I need to hear right now? And then I say, Julie, sweetheart, which makes me laugh, calling myself sweetheart, which always helps. Julie, sweetheart, of course, this is really sad. Of course you feel sad. You would be like a robot to not feel sad. And you know what? Common humanity, hello. We're in a global pandemic. We're all sharing grief right now. Every single one of us is reading these things and having their heart broken. And then what do I need to hear right now? Okay, so that's where the self-talk comes in. Like, maybe this too shall pass, which is sort of channeling my mother-in-law and my mother, or this isn't going to go on forever, or there's still miraculous creativity and beauty going on in the world. And then what do I need to do right now is really my jam, because that's how I change my channel. So when Monica was talking about experience-dependent neuroplasticity, I like to think of it, and this moves into our next practice, as the happy brain bridge. So I pull up a memory of when I felt good. I enrich it and absorb it to re-experience it, to feel it in my body, to change the channel from feeling so sad and bereft to feeling maybe not necessarily joy, but at least better and more balanced. And then I move on with my day. So that's a hypothetical of using that practice in real time. And it doesn't take long. It could take a minute or two. And soothing touch actually just takes a matter of seconds. So soothing touch might actually just work for you when you feel activated. That might be all you need.
Thank you, Julie. That was a perfect example that I think all of us could actually relate to right now.
Well, that's why I like questions. It gives us the teaching moments, right, Monica?
Yes, well, we'll come back to some questions towards the end. We have 3 more practices, and I just want to acknowledge a great comment that Tara made.
She's cracking the whip.
Which is, why is it so much easier to have self-compassion for a friend than for yourself? And, you know, that is so cultural, really, right now. We haven't had any training, although there are now some trainings that are being brought into school age children. But, you know, we grow up as adults, and the most we have learned is compassion for other people. And there are all of these myths about what compassion for yourself, like, oh, that means I'm being selfish, or that means, you know, I'm self-centered, or that means I'm weak, and in the mindful self-compassion course, we actually go through all of those myths and debunk them all through research that has been done, because there's been at least 15 years now of research that has been done on compassion and the power of compassion. So thank you for that, because it is such an amazing experience that everybody has of how difficult it is to bring compassion for yourself. And it's actually why I got into teaching it, because I wasn't good at bringing compassion for myself. And I'm still learning, right?
That's why they call it a practice. It's lifelong.
Thank you, Julie.
All right, I think that we should do like the healthy pleasures. I love this because Monica labeled it healthy pleasures. That's her label. And it gets back to how we can resource ourselves right now while we're in this pandemic, right? So it's kind of a warmed up mindfulness, and there's many practices that you can do during the day that can give you the good feeling that we just talked about. So mindfulness, as you know, is just paying attention to what you're doing when you're doing it without worrying and ruminating. But if you want to get the juices going, the warm-hearted juices going, you take one of those activities and allow yourself to slow it down and to savor it. So I do the morning coffee. I don't know if you can see this. Probably you can if there's too much light. I have all these names on my mug. I have the names of all of my teachers that I feel like so attached to, such love for, and I have the names of a lot of the mindful self-compassion practices to remind me that I want to take a couple sips every morning mindfully. So how you would do that if you didn't have the name as a reminder on your mug, but you just happen to remember, you feel the mug in your hands. So that's your sense of touch. So you're already not worrying and ruminating because your awareness is on your sense of touch, right? You feel the warmth. Then you smell it. That's your sense of smell. Another focused awareness on another sense. That smells delicious because it's tea. Then you take a sip and you savor how that tastes in your mouth. And you see how that made you feel. And you might feel grateful. And if you do, that does double duty because you just made a happy brain in your bridge. There's many activities during the day that you can do this with. I have a love affair with laundry. I can't even believe it, but I'm folding towels and napkins and I'm feeling like I love them. I'm feeling the fibers, I'm folding them, I'm smoothing my husband's t-shirts. It's a little crazy, but it's working for me, right? And so I'm making these happy bridges. I am adoring cutting vegetables. I put on music and I'm cooking, and it's a mindfulness and daily life activity that is also making a happy bridge. You know, so sometimes you do these things and it's just neutral and you're not worrying and ruminating, so you're giving your brain a break. What Monica and I want you to do when you're doing these is to get the ones that give you the juice, that give you the heart opening juice, so that you can keep making your brain happy, so that when your wandering mind is just wandering, it won't be such an unhappy place, because you're counteracting your negativity bias that we all have, because we're primates, where bad things just stick like Velcro and good things fall off like Teflon. Thank you, Rick Hansen. We're counteracting that every time we make a happy bridge. Have you seen that father and daughter on YouTube that are singing? Show of hands, I see people nodding, like, oh my God, they're magnificent. She's a teenager and he sounds like an angel. And I put that on and I let myself feel love and awe. And you can do that with any soundtrack in your life. And those are, and I'm going to take this and steal it from Monica. She's calling them, what are you calling them? It's something like pleasures, mindful, healthy pleasures, mindful, healthy pleasures. So that's the didactic part of that material. And I hope that you'll remember to do it. And how do you remember to remember? I know some people put like a little alarm on their phone. I personally put little stickers around my environment from the office supply store. I have one on my computer. I have one on my phone. I have one on my dashboard, just to remember to do a check-in. And while you're doing that and you're doing one of these activities, you'll remember to stop worrying and ruminating and really lean into it and feel it. And who knows, you too may fall in love with folding warm laundry. I think maybe it's not called laundry once it's clean. I think it's just called clothes.
I know that I want you to chop all of my vegetables for me after that description.
If we lived near each other, we're like, how many miles away are we? We're an airplane ride away. I would not only chop vegetables for you, but I would bring you lentil soup.
Oh, and she would. That's who Julie is, for those of you who know her. Thank you so much for bringing the healthy pleasures in, because now more than ever, when we don't have access to the typical things that we do. So for example, my neighbor is used to going to the gym and he can't, and it was driving him nuts for a while. And what I saw him do was take his garage and make it into a gym, right? So he found a way to have his core healthy pleasure every day. And that is so important for us, for the long haul, for the longevity of our sanity and our well-being. So,
okay, I need you to teach us another energy practice, please.
I am doing that in a moment. In fact, we're going to switch now from healthy pleasures to, let's say you're in a moment of anger or stress. And we're going to do a very quick, minute practice to release that physically from your body. Stress is a physiological process as much as it is a mental process, right? So I'm going to stand up and do this and demonstrate it. You can remain seated or stand up with me. There's a very easy way of releasing, right? So I do this when I'm frustrated or when I just have too much energy. You make a fist with your hands. So if you're seated down, you want to make a fist with your hands, and you take a big breath in, and you're going to watch me first, and then you're going to do the second one with me. And so I have my fist tight, and on the exhale, I go shoo, And I'm going down with my hands like this, and I'm opening them like that at the bottom, and I'm bending my knees. If you're sitting down, your knees are already bent. Okay, so let's all do it together. 1, 2, 3, breathe in and shoo. Okay, now you guys are all muted, so I can't hear you shush, but I'm hoping you're all shushing with me. One more time, and shoo. And then the last time, you're actually going to do it gently and slowly and mindfully, like a Qigong exercise, right? So that's a great way. And another way to do is just to kind of shake it out, right? The Center for Mind Body Medicine, that's what they teach. And I do that when I, believe it or not, I walk into organizations and I do some of this work in organizations, and I get everybody up and we're all shaking and moving like this together, right? So that's really, really good. And it not only releases tension, but if you need to be energized, it's a great pick-me-up. Yeah, so that's for stress release. Now let's, you guys can sit down. The rest of them are pretty much sitting. Here's another really quick one. So let's say you are tired, you are having trouble focusing. Just watch me, and then you'll close your eyes and do it if you want to. It feels really good. You take the tips of your fingers, it's called a crown pull, and you're just going around and down your ears and your neck. And then you're just going to go around your whole head. Sometimes people just like this part, so you don't have to do your whole head if you don't want to, but just slowly and lusciously. And you choose the pressure. So like for here around my temples, I like it much harder than anywhere else. And I just notice that I'm starting to breathe differently as I do it. And then the last time you do it, you're going to crisscross. So you're going to go down your front crisscross like this. You're just going to bring it down. Okay, I feel completely different than I did when I was standing up and shaking off energy. How about you guys? Kind of nod your head if you're noticing difference. Yes.
What about the brush off? Teach the brush off.
Yep, definitely. So thank you. Julie's like my cheerleader. So this is what I do between clients. If I've had a difficult interaction with somebody, if I feel their energy is still left on me from the conversation. Have you ever had a situation you can remember like that? Yeah. So just literally, I'm going to stand up. Guys don't need to do it, but I want to show you that you're brushing, literally brushing it off, brushing your legs, brushing. My friends have this, my women's group, what we do, we brush it off, and then we open the door and we invite all that energy out the door. And then we have a great laugh because it's just so funny. And one last thing I want to teach you for immune building is a couple of things. This is our thymus right here in the center of our chest. And if you thump your thymus like this, it's a helpful wake up. The thymus is like the master immune gland right here. And that can be really helpful, just like we did at the very beginning with our kidneys. This is kind of activating. And then we have a point, if you put your hands right here, this is a Chinese acupuncture point right between right there. That's for colds and flu. So you can activate that point right there. This is called self-acupressure. Well, we have
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We have just enough time to do gratitude and then have some question and answer.
Yeah. So the gratitude practice it's so rooted in science and so foundational. You've all heard of keeping a gratitude journal. I thought originally it was kind of a dumb idea because I don't like journaling, but then I read the science and I decided that I'd be stupid to not do it because it literally improves our health, it improves our relationships, it helps our emotions, it helps our personality, it's been shown to help our careers. What happens is it creates an upward spiral, right? And when you notice what you're grateful for, you end up feeling more grateful. So it's a positive feedback loop. So how I do it and how I teach it, which is from this course like 10 years ago, the Baras's, the Awakening Joy course, is I keep a journal, just a, you can keep any kind of journal, and I write on the front so that I don't forget, what is it I'm supposed to be doing? 2 questions. What did I enjoy today? What am I grateful for today? And when San Diego Bay was open before this all happened, my answer could just be sailing for both of those. You don't have to write a whole paragraph. It could just be 1 word. It's really important to lean into this gratitude practice. And when you guys get the video and the resources emailed to you, I will give you a link that's a compilation of all of the science for why you need to keep a gratitude practice to urge you to do it. And I don't do it every day like I ought to because I'm human. But I keep it near my toothbrush because if I put it on my nightstand, it would just get buried. So that's like a little trick that I do to remember to do it.
So what we wanted to do, what actually we wanted to do is to break you out into groups. We don't have time for that, and have you guys share some things that you're grateful for in your life. So what we thought we'd do, because we want you to have the experience of gratitude rather than talking about gratitude, is to open up the chat, if you could, Eileen, and just let's as a group, what do we appreciate? What are we grateful for? It could be in this seminar, it could be today. Yeah, Julie.
I just want to say it can be little things. You don't need to be thinking big things. It could be your soft pillow.
Yes, thank you. And the trick when you are thinking about it and writing it down is to actually feel it. So if you're just thinking, if it's just a mental activity, it's not going to have the kind of brain change as if you're actually feeling the appreciation and enriching in it, deepening it, and feeling it in your body.
Oh, I'm reading these. These are beautiful.
Oh, a garden.
Sunshine, sand, dogs, friends, family,
and this
comfy
time
house.
Of day.
Nice.
Doing something new.
And when you feel really bad, you can look at your gratitude journal and experience something that you were grateful for to change the channel. And then you get 2 bangs for your buck.
That's such a great point, Julie. I actually do that because when I'm in a foul mood, I have no memory of being grateful for anything at that moment. And then I open up and I look and it's like it all comes back to me. And then I center myself.
The other thing that I teach at the same time as the gratitude practice is the joy list. And you all probably already do this, but just when you get off the seminar with us, free associate all the things that bring you joy. And then when you pick one and do them, it'll be something that you're grateful for. You write it down in your gratitude journal. You get 3 bangs for your buck next time you feel crappy and you see it.
Spending the day outside, food security. It's like these are the things that we don't even remember to be grateful for if you're used to having them.
I'm so grateful for the Instacart drivers. I haven't been to the grocery store since the pandemic started because we're having everything delivered. I'm beside myself for these people. And of course, the nurses and the doctors. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. Do we want to just have more Q&A? How do you guys feel? Are you feeling burnt out or are you energized? Do anybody have any questions? Feel free if you have a question to just unmute and speak, and then we'll see your face will pop up.
Birds and bees, I'm just seeing that one.
Yeah, being able to go on long walks.
Spring.
Our beaches just opened up in San Diego. You can't congregate on them, but you're going to be able to walk on them.
That's a huge thing to be grateful for.
Yeah. Oh, okay. How do you balance staying informed with not being able to handle the news? Okay, that's a really formative question. And that is the practice about seeing what's real, right? And cultivating a practice that can hold it all. For me personally, how I do it is I don't watch the news, but I don't want to not know what's going on. So I read the news, and then I just titrate how much of that I let in during the day, and I won't let any of it in at night before bed. How do you do it, Monica?
Yeah, not 2 hours before bed for sure. I have certain people I like to go to that I have really good conversations with. And I ask them, what's been important for you in the news lately? I sometimes feel like a desire to watch the news, and I'll watch the news. Other times I don't and I won't. So I'm really using that kind of daily self-check-in
titration
to determine how much news. And then for me, it's what news sources. So right now I'm really hardly not watching any. I'm pretty much just like public broadcasting, certain news channels that are not necessarily so dramatic.
There's this woman named Heather Cox Richardson that has an email newsletter, and that is basically where I'm getting my news. She's a history professor in Boston somewhere. I see Barbara shaking her head up and down. Somebody shared her on Facebook like maybe a month or two ago. This was pre-pandemic. She was doing daily coverage of the impeachment, and then the pandemic happened, and I think she got a new job doing this as a volunteer, and she does an unbelievable recap. And that's where I'm getting the real nuts and bolts. And then I go on my local news to find out about, parks opening, beaches opening, whether they're going to open the marina, but never the actual news. I'm reading it. I'm not turning it on television. Thank you for that question. That was a great question. It's all about the balance. Care for yourself so that you don't go down to the sea in ships, as my mother used to say. May she rest in peace.
Well, I think we may be ready to end if we don't have any other questions.
Yeah, I like this one comment that we enjoy getting the news through the comedy talk show hosts. That's actually, great. Barbara, that's actually great. I have done that too. Oh, could I please talk
a bit about
calling up
old happy?
Sure. So that's the re-experiencing, the re-experiencing, enriching, and absorbing to make a new happy bridge in your brain. So you could look at old photo albums. You could imagine a time when you were on a vacation where it was really awesome. You could use your Rolodex and your filing cabinet in your brain and pull out all kinds of gorgeous riches and then step in them. And the more you experience them embodied, not just intellectually, the better it works to make a happy bridge in your brain. And Monica, do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, I actually I have a special book, and it's beautiful purple. And what I do is I put in photos or key things that remind me of times, because I forget all the good times that have happened, and I need a visual reminder. And sometimes and then that I started before we had online photographs. And now that we have online photographs, I will go through my photographs and it will call up these happy memories. And then sometimes I'll feel so good about a picture that I see, then I'll send it to the friend that it's with and say, remember this? And then I'll appreciate them and appreciate our friendship. And so then that even takes it to the next level of connecting with somebody else and acknowledging them.
You just got 3 bangs for your buck on that one, right, Monica? You did. You got 3 bangs for your buck on it. And that's the thing about this. They snowball into a win-win-win-win-win the more you step in and inhabit it. Renee put in a comment that I had explained to her, oh yeah, right, because she's been coming to the Temple Beth Israel classes, that a vision of a happy future place also works. Correct. You could imagine yourself in Paris in the springtime, and that could also work, or wherever would make you happy.
Or camping.
Right. Camping, that would not be me. You would be all camping with Monica. You could be somewhere a little bit more luxurious with me.
Well, I've been with you being luxurious, and that's not a bad thing either, Julie. We're going to put our contact information in the chat so that you can keep connected with us. You will be connected with us because you're on our mailing list, but I have my office phone number there because that's actually the best way these days to get a hold of me if you want to do any follow-up work.
Oh, and let me just say, because I'm not a therapist, I'm a recovering attorney. If any of you want any one-on-one work, it's Monica, not me. I mean, we could do mindfulness, but if you really want to unpack some of these things, it's Monica. On my website, you'll see my podcast for free meditations. You'll also see my book and blogs. And I think really just the website is, if you go in, you can spend some time noodling around and you can go into all the different tabs. It's a ton of free resources. There's everybody else's newsletters in there that I respect and everybody else's books that I've learned from. So it's like walking into a library.
Well, thank you everyone for giving yourselves this time
Thank
and
you.
for giving it to each other as well.